Good morning. And I think it's just going to be me and you this morning. So,
Good morning.
so that's going to be fun.
Two of us. I know you got stuff to do.
Yeah, we'll bang it out, but this is an important one, so we'll go through it. What week did you start on? Which rev up did you start on?
Let me check. Usually I know. On my very first one. January 18th, seller net sheets. Which one was that? Seller net sheets. January 18th was my first one with you. Right? Or would that be, hold on. The 23rd is rev up on January 23rd, seller possession after close, something like that. I didn't do the best notes back then, okay?
I'll go back and find it.
Yeah, so January 23rd would probably be the one, the first rev up that I was on.
Gotcha. So you're probably getting pretty close to being about done. Did you have a good weekend?
It was good. It was good. Busy, baking a lot, but it's good.
Lots of baking. Thank you for the showings.
Oh, no problem. That was fun. She's very picky, which is good. She comes into the house for like 2 minutes and she's like, no.
Yeah. Picky is a very nice choice of words. She saw 2 more on Saturday. Liked one of them. Was hoping to put an offer on one of them actually. But it was a property that they were calling for highest and best one day on the market, and she wanted to put an offer in 20 or 30,000 below ask. So we just didn't do it because it was, the other agent said it would be a complete waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, so, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we've kind of switched up, and today we're looking at townhouses.
Okay.
So she is very particular. She's just one of those clients that wants everything to be pretty much brand new and move-in ready, and no smells, no nothing.
No cats.
Very particular about all that stuff. Say again.
She said no cats.
No, yes. So very particular. So today we're mixing it up, and hopefully the one she found today we will be able to put an offer on. So it's very nice. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get her under contract here very soon.
That's awesome.
Yes, she's been.
Well, let me know if there's anything that you want me to do some showings for her. I'll be happy to.
Gotcha. Of course. Yeah. Thank you. That was super helpful. Friday was a very busy day.
No,
or Saturday.
Usually I'm baking in the mornings. Usually my mornings are baking and homeschooling, and then afternoons I'm pretty free.
Gotcha.
And some of my baking clients are going into my CRM, and I'm sending them stuff. So
smart.
It's working.
Yeah. Should be adding people to that CRM every single week. I've got a few people joining in. Let them get connected.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Trisha.
So Trisha just joined. She is a very experienced agent out of Florida, and she will be coming back and forth between Florida and North Carolina. So for the most part, I mean, she's going to want to get used to kind of the differences in how we do our paperwork and due diligence and things like that. So yeah, so hopefully this is helpful. So again, this is a Rev Up 12, closing the sale, creating clients for life. So this is the last one in the Rev Up series. Again, if you started on week 4, then you'll go through week 3 of this, and then you'll be done. Here's the name of them all, but I still don't know which one you started on. So So we'll skip all this. Understand the closing disclosure, when to open escrow, what is time is of the essence, and how to navigate the pending path to close successfully. Tell me, when do you open escrow?
When the offer is accepted?
Yeah. And that's and
I
when,
didn't sound
when-
very, very confident.
no, that was not a very confident answer, but yes, I mean, that's, you're not doing that until you have a completed offer to purchase, right? So and opening escrow, what does that mean? What are you doing at that point? Getting the attorneys involved, right?
Yes.
Right. So, when on the buying side, once you get an offer that's accepted, you're going to immediately email the attorney, and then they're gonna start that process.
Okay.
Patricia, in Florida, it's a title companies in Florida. I'm pretty sure. In North Carolina, we use attorneys. So once we get under contract, we're emailing the attorney, introducing ourselves, and letting them know that we've chosen that attorney to handle the process. And at that point in time, they're going to create, a case for us, and then they're going to start requesting information for us. But typically that is done by the buyer's agent, and you want to make sure that you do that as soon as you go into contract, so you can get that ball rolling. It is easy to forget, and you just get the signed offer, you send it to the other agent, you high five your client and go have a glass of wine. And a couple of days go by and you're like, oh, I actually never told the attorney that we're using them. So you want to make sure you're doing that as soon as possible.
Okay. And then due diligence, where does that go?
Where do you think it goes? So there's two things, right? So there's North Carolina, there's due diligence and earnest money.
Earnest money, yeah. So
So
there's
if
two
you-
different
if you-
separate checks or wires, right?
Yeah. So let's just say I've got a listing and your buyer puts in an offer, and my client accepts it today. What are you doing?
A check for due diligence and a check for earnest money, and the earnest money goes to the attorney, right?
Yeah,
we're
so the-
calling the attorney.
Yeah, so for the attorney, again, you're immediately reaching out to the attorney, letting them know that we're opening escrow and asking them how they, do you want me to drop off a check? Some attorneys can wire, there's some companies have apps and you can send it that way. For the due diligence, that check immediately goes to the seller, right? And you'll immediately want to ask the listing agent, how does your seller want the checks? Do they want it in the husband and wife's name? Do they just want one or the other? Do you want me to drop the check off in their mailbox? Do you want me to meet up with you, the other agent? So you just want to find out how and when they want it, right?
Okay. With
have-
my situation, would I go through the BIC immediately, or do I go to the seller's agent? Because I'm a provisional, so it would be like any due diligence money, wouldn't it go to my BIC?
Well, you're giving it to, but you're giving that check to the listing agent. So again, your seller can drop off a check. I mean, sometimes, your buyer. Sometimes you just have your buyer just drop off a check in their mailbox, take a picture of it. Sometimes you can meet up with them. We're not keeping the funds ourselves. We're not putting the money in our bank accounts at all. It's going straight to the
Seller.
the seller, and the seller will put that money straight into their account.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just that's the first thing you want to do is get that arranged pretty quickly. I had one that went under contract over the weekend, and my seller is out of state. So first thing I did this morning was text them again, say, hey, make sure you're mailing the check out to this address, and sending it to them, and take a picture of the front and back before you put it in the mail. So I always like to have a picture of the front and the back of the check. If you can get a tracking number on it, if it has to be mailed, do that. But you want that done typically same day, if not next morning. The closing disclosure. So this is the kind of sheet that's the attorney sends out, that's kind of all the fees and credits from the seller and from the buyer. I've got a couple. This is, you can see this. This is a settlement statement. I kind of consider the same thing. This is a closing disclosure from one that I had back in January. And it just kind of breaks down everything, right? So the total price of the property, this one sold at 275K. Can you see this okay? Okay. It has, so this is what the house was sold for, 275, and this is what they're netting. So they're netting 144, right? So obviously they had something that they paid off, right? So they paid the remainder of their house, which was 111,000. Closing cost 17,000. Majority of that was commissions, right? And the due diligence that they'd already accepted, right? So, when you're talking to your clients, whether you're on the listing side or buying side, especially on the listing side, they always want to know kind of what they're going to net, right? So for this lady, we listed at 275, we sold it at 275. So if we sell it at full price, and if you owe 110 and 6% commissions, you will net around, we guessed 145. So she came out pretty much right where we thought, right? She actually owed 111 instead of 110, but very, very, very close, right? So that's pretty easy to do, but this is a breakdown of everything that's got the buyer's agent information, listing agent's information, the attorney's information, and then it has a breakdown of everything. Commission to Realty One Group, commission to the other real estate company is broken down, and it's signed by the clients. So this one's very, not a lot on this one, right? Pretty simple. Take a look at this one. This one is another one. This is on the buying side. This has a breakdown of like all the rates and stuff, right? So on the buying side, like they're going to disclose everything as far as what your monthly payments are going to be, what you're going to need to bring to closing, and then just all your fees that you're going to have. And I can send you this stuff as well, so you can take a look at it closer. This is a closing I have today that it's not being done in person, so I have to go to a notary and have them sign this and send it over, which is not what I wanted to do on a Monday, but that's okay. We'll get it done. But yeah, this is just a little one. So this one it's just 80,000. They owe some money. They have some liens, and after everything, they're going to net 47,000, right? But this is the breakdown that I'm going to have to go over with them and show them where all this money is going, right? So you're going to want to be able to break this down and explain to them why are they on getting 80,000, right? So
Is this the breakdown that you give them? When do you give this breakdown?
So this usually comes out 1 to 3 days before closing. The attorney usually sends this over to you.
Okay.
We originally were going to close on Friday in this one in person. My seller unfortunately couldn't make the closing time, and they had a very small window, and now we have to do it remotely, which is not ideal. So probably won't close till tomorrow, but it is what it is. So yeah, so I'm going to sit down with them and go over all these numbers. I mean, fortunately we were already kind of expecting this, and we have a payoff here of $24,000, which is where the majority of that money is going. But again, this is the breakdown of our commissions, right? So I did a little bit higher commission on this one. I did a total of 8%, and I did 5.5%. So we're getting almost double what the buyer's agent is getting. But it's a lot of work on this one. Some of these small deals, you're working 2-3 times harder than you are on a big deal, right? But yeah, I can email you a sample or a couple of these so you can review them. But you'll want to get fairly comfortable with them. Again, a lot of times if they're having questions, they can ask the attorney, what it is when they're closing. But you should be able to explain it as well.
Nice. You know how you're saying here, like this is the amount that we were kind of going for, and this is what they were kind of prepared for already. Do you give them like a different paper in the beginning so that they understand? What is that one called?
So there is a seller net sheet. I think we talked about that in one of, and you
Yeah.
might not have been on that one, but the seller net sheet is something that you can give that kind of breaks down depending on what offer we take, what you'll make. I did one over the weekend. I met with a couple about a month ago in Rock Hill, and it went well. They weren't ready to list yet. They emailed me yesterday actually and said, "Hey, I think we're ready to move forward." My husband wants to know a best case scenario if we sell for 400, worst case if we sell for 375. What do those numbers look like? So I basically do closing costs, commissions on both of those numbers, and if we sell for this is what we get. So if we sell for 400, we'll probably get around 375. If we sell for 375, we'll get around 352. Right. And I kind of broke the numbers down to them so they can kind of see the range of where they should be. Hopefully we're on the higher side, but so they're reviewing those numbers now, and hopefully I can get them to sign, today or tomorrow to list that. But the seller net sheet up front is important because it gives them realistic idea of what they're going to get. Because a lot of times if you sell someone's house for 375, maybe they don't understand the commissions fully, and they think they're going to get 375, right?
Yeah.
You don't want that to be the impression, because what happens at the closing table is they're like, well, I don't want to pay this much commission, right? So you want to kind of nip that in the bud up front.
That makes sense.
So again, we talked about this before. Opening escrow fully executed, offer to purchase. Closing the sale. This page is a little fuzzy for some reason. But again, time is of the essence. It is what it says. Time is of the essence. Is you need to be able to go through all these things very quickly, right? Once the offer is accepted, right, you have a due diligence period, right, that you need to get your inspections done, right? Once that offer is accepted, you have, again, that due diligence check is usually 24 hours, right? The earnest money is, should have to the attorney within 3 days, right? Your inspections need to be scheduled very quickly right away. I had an inspection on a house in Rock Hill on Saturday, and we just went under contract a few days before that, and it was you want to do it right away because you need time, even though due diligence doesn't end for another week. You want to have it inspected before, because that inspection I did Saturday, I don't have the results yet. It might be, maybe it's today, but there's a good chance it's tomorrow, Wednesday, before I get it back, right? And I need a couple of days to talk to my client once I get it back. What are we going to ask for? What do we need? And then to present it, and then to negotiate back and forth with the listing agent on that, right? So just because your due diligence date is X doesn't mean you should do your inspections at X, right? You need to have it done well before. Repair requests. I think Tanya, you'll find that you're going to be very good at getting clients, buyers and sellers, the repairs, and I'm sure Karen will attest to this, going through the repair process can be one of the most difficult parts, right? You're excited because you guys have already agreed on a number, you've already got to inspections, but getting people to agree to do repairs or to not do repairs can be very, very difficult. So that is something that, when you get to those for the first few times, make sure that you're talking to Diana or whoever you can get a hold of, and have them walk through that, because how you present that to your clients is very, very important, right? Because you don't want to lose a deal over them not replacing the stove, right? That's pretty silly. But when emotions get involved, you see silly stuff like that cause a $400,000 sale to fall through because of the littlest repair, right? So how you're presenting that and how you're negotiating that is very, very important. So one of the bigger parts of your job is getting to the repair request and getting that approved, right? Because once you're past that due diligence period and you guys have agreed on that, for the most part, smooth selling, right? Things, I mean, it's loan stuff pops up, right? But for the most part, you're kind of locked in once you get past that period.
Is there a way of presenting it like that seems to be less painful? Or is it dealing with your client? Like if it's, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of it is I'm trying to say, keeping their expectations realistic throughout the whole process, right? So when you're presenting if it's your buyer and I'm gonna have to do this, either today or tomorrow. I know there was a leak in the basement, right? There was like almost a foot of water in the basement. And I could say, hey, this is terrible and this is not good. You shouldn't buy this house. And they're going to freak out and they're going to back out and, it's not going to go well. Or I can tell them what I already know is the seller has already put a sump pump in. It's going in next week. It'll be fixed. There's no other issues with the house, and explain to them what we need to do, what we should ask for, right? So maybe we ask for a small credit. Maybe the sump pump is enough to make them happy. But it's all about how you present it. And if you're an agent that wants every single thing in the house fixed, and you're presenting that to your clients, then they're going to want everything in their house fixed. And I see, agents, the electrical outlet isn't screwed in tight enough, right? There's a scratch on, there's a crown on the wall from what a kid wrote on it. Like I need that. Like if you're asking for every small thing, like it makes the big things less important, right? So I like to ask for, hey, there's an issue with the plumbing and electrical. That's got to be taken care of. No questions asked. All this other small stuff we're fine with. So I like to be very, very reasonable. Like, and I always ask my client, what's your top 3 or 4 most important things that you have to have, right?
Yeah.
And then when I go back and I talk to the listing agent, hey, we've got 5 things that we need fixed, right? So now when I go back to my buyer, I'm like, hey, great news. We're getting these 5 things fixed instead of your 3 or 4, right? So now they're happy and the seller's happy because we're not asking for all 20 things. So it really is just about negotiating and there's certain things that need to be fixed, right? And you need to be okay asking for things to be fixed. But I do see some agents that literally ask for the whole kitchen every time they get an inspection report back. And understand, and Karen will tell you this, even on a brand new house, you will get a 20-page inspection report back.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's just it just is. Actually, the one you did open house for, that $800,000 house in Huntersville,
Yeah.
very long inspection report back. And we are doing a lot of repairs on that, believe it or not. And it's a brand new house, right? So it's just one of those things, like you're gonna have stuff that needs to be fixed on any type of house in any condition. But they're just asking for the important stuff. And that's an ideal situation. Who helps during this phase? Yes, we will. The biggest thing you want to do, regardless of what side you're on through the escrow process, is communication with your client. And that is, and I'm sure Karen will attest this as well. What most people complain about is my agent got me under contract and I never saw them again until closing day when they got their check. And that is a huge no. And that is how you don't get good reviews. That is how you get people talking bad about you, and that's how you lose deals, right? So you need to know during the escrow process, during the close, what's going on, predict what's going to happen this week, talk to the other side, the other agent a lot, right? I'm talking to the other agent at least once or twice a week, if not more. There's times I talk to the other agent more than I talk to my own client, right? Because I need to make sure that they're doing their job, right? Because I know I'm handling my business. I don't know what this other agent is doing, so I want to make sure that they're trending in the right direction to close on time. But you should definitely be talking to your client as much as possible, even if you don't have. It literally says it right here. Even if you have nothing to report, talk to them. Like, hey, as of right now, we're still on track to close next Friday, so we don't have a lot to do this week. Let me know if anything pops up, and I'm going to call the listing agent and make sure that they're still good to go. But just give them an update, right? Just let them know that you're still working, that you're still doing your job, and that is the best way to keep yourself in good standing with your client.
I think Trisha had a question she wrote in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Can buyers nitpick on smaller items? They can. I mean, you can in North Carolina, you can ask for whatever you want, right? I mean, South Carolina is a little bit different. But in North Carolina, they can ask for whatever they want. However, Tricia, understand in North Carolina, buyers pay due diligence, right? So, you know, a lot of times it's not uncommon to put a couple $1,000s due diligence, and that money is gone, right? So if your buyer backs out for any reason, they're not getting that due diligence back. So, you know, if I get a repair request back from a buyer's agent and it is nothing major, nothing even remotely major, it's just teeny tiny minor stuff, and my client's like, I'm not fixing any of that, I'm gonna let the buyer's agent know, like, hey, like, do you want to lose that $2,500 due diligence over, I don't even know, I can't even think of something super minor, but something small like that. So they can ask if they want, but because of due diligence in North Carolina, there's oftentimes you're not going to get something tiny like that. Karen, is that what you see?
That's absolutely what I see. And that's why it's so important that you set that expectation with your client, or if it's the listing agent or the listing side or the buying side, that you're going to expect something possibly, but it's the big five that are the most important, because those will break a deal. They have to be the electrical, the plumbing, the roof, the structure, and the HVAC. So those are the most important things. And a home must have a working oven and range.
Heat source. So yeah, so what's she saying? You know, you have some agents that are in the thought process of, it doesn't hurt to ask for all the teeny tiny stuff. It kind of does, because it takes away from the big five that Karen just mentioned, right? So if it's super important to your client, then feel free to ask for it. But if it's super minor stuff and it's something they could easily fix once they get in the house, especially in this market, because it still is a seller's market, right? I mean, we saw properties this weekend and there was all three of them had multiple offers on it. So it is still a seller's market. So, you know, maybe things change in the next 6 months or year and it becomes more of a buyer's market and you can ask for more. But right now it's, you know, you're almost lucky to get under contract, right? So you don't want to lose it once you get under contract, and you don't want to be jeopardizing your buyer's due diligence money by setting their expectations that everything on that report should be fixed. Just, did that help? Oh no, we cannot hear you. Okay, good. Clients for life. Create raving fans. Definitely after close, you definitely want to ask for a review, like right away, right? Like that's the first thing you do. You want to be posting in your social media that you disclose the deal. You want to be asking for referral, then you want to be sharing that referral on social media. So you're getting a lot of buzz and traction from that. And then it is super important to use your CRM to set follow-ups, you know, big holidays, birthdays, 1 year from the sale, right? That's a big one, right? Like, hey, 1 year ago, and send them, you know, just like in Facebook sends you 1 year memories, you know, that you get all the time. Do that with your clients, right? Like set a follow-up for 1 year from when you close on that house to reach back out to them. And it's not necessary that they're going to be selling a year from now, but maybe their cousin's about to buy and they haven't thought about you in a year, right? So those are the little things that you can't predict, and you can't understand how much business you lose by not following up, because you just don't know, right? Someone's not going to reach out to you and say, hey, if you would have told me happy birthday a month ago, I would have sent you my sister to buy a house, right? But what we do know factually is that when you are following up with people that were happy with the business that you gave them, they will give you business for life just by following up once, twice, 3 times a year. So it is very important to do that. And again, communicating with them throughout the whole process is what allows this, right? So don't be that agent that gets them under contract and never talks to them again, because you would definitely not get business from them again. staying in touch. We kind of just talked about that. References. Yeah, so this is kind of what I mentioned before. I try not. I definitely don't want to bug them, but yeah, maybe a couple of times a year to reach back out to them is fairly good. So yeah, that's it. That is it for this one. Any questions about the CD or anything, or like dealing with the attorney, or?
Thank you, Brian. No, that was really helpful.
No questions. Thank you for the tidbits, though. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, one other thing, when you open escrow, Tanya, one of the first things you'll get back is you'll get a buyer seller info sheet, or buyer info sheet, or seller info sheet, depending on what side you're on. And that needs to be filled out very quickly. And basically what that is it's going to ask your buyer for their social and all their information, and it's going to ask your seller for their social, their information, their mortgage information, so they can start pulling for that title, and they can also get their payoffs, right? So it's very important that you get that information to them very quickly. I had this happen earlier this year. They wouldn't give me their mortgage information till we were like a couple of days from close, and then it found out that they had a second mortgage, and that was a nightmare because it had been paid off, but we couldn't get a proof of that it had been paid off, and it took an extra week. So make sure once you open escrow that you pay attention, because it's easy to miss their emails, right? But they'll send it out almost immediately every single time. But that seller and buyer info sheet is super important that you get that filled out correctly. And also makes you look great to the attorney, right? The quicker you're responding to the attorney, the better it is. So
Time is of the essence, right?
yes.
Always. Okay,
Things-
well, let
yes,
me know
things
if there's any listings that you want me to show or anything.
For sure. Yeah, so it is the seller's agent's responsibility and the buyer's agent's responsibility to get that information to the attorney. So yeah, once escrow is open, the attorney will reach out to the buyer's agent and seller's agent, sometimes together, sometimes send them separate emails. But the agents are responsible for getting that information over pretty quickly. And sometimes they're just emailing you a PDF, and you've got to upload it and do it in what your SkySlope or however you do your documents. Some of these attorneys have a very secure portal that you log into, and you can do everything online. But yeah, it is on the agents to do that. Patricia, thank you for jumping on. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully we can get your sound working next time. More than likely, if you're at the very bottom left where the microphone is, there's a little arrow by the microphone. If you check that, you might be able to select a different microphone. That might be what you need to do. But we can play around with that next time. But you guys have a great week. Just if I have anything come up, I will definitely let you know. Thanks again for the showings last week, and let's go do some real estate.
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome week, everyone.
Bye.